Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is often considered one of the greatest superhero movies ever made because it understands that Spider-Man's greatest battle is not against a supervillain, but against himself. The movie explores Peter Parker's identity crisis as he struggles to balance the responsibilities of being Spider-Man with his desire to live a normal life as Peter Parker. His emotional conflict manifests physically as he loses his powers. Only after Peter realizes that he does not have to choose between the two identities, that he can be both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, are his powers restored. And now, more than 20 years later, Brand New Day revisits that exact same theme, but instead of copying Spider-Man 2, it deliberately tells the opposite story. Every major element is reversed. Rather than losing his powers, Peter develops new ones. Rather than being overwhelmed by trying to live two lives, he is overwhelmed because he barely has one.
You're gonna forget who I am.
What?
Forget who you are. What are you talking about?
Come on, pretend like you're not the happiest you've ever been in your entire life.
I can't.
Was to make everyone forget about me.
Rather than wanting to escape the burden of Spider-Man, he has become almost nothing except Spider-Man. His journey is not about reclaiming his heroism, but about rediscovering his humanity. The result is a movie that pays tribute to Spider-Man 2 without repeating it. Both movies ask the same central question, who is Peter Parker? But they approach the answer from completely opposite directions.
What is happening to me? I'm losing my mind. What the?
The central conflict of Spider-Man 2 is balance. Peter Parker constantly feels like he is being pulled in two directions. He wants to succeed in college, keep a steady job, pay his rent, spend time with Aunt May, and confess his love to Mary Jane Watson. At the same time, New York constantly needs Spider-Man. Every time Peter tries to live a normal life, someone else is in danger. The movie repeatedly forces Peter to choose between his personal life and his heroic responsibilities. He loses his pizza delivery job because he stops to save people. He misses classes because he is fighting crime. He disappoints Mary Jane because Spider-Man always comes first. Harry Osborn grows to resent him because Peter refuses to reveal Spider-Man's identity. Eventually, Peter reaches a breaking point. Psychologically, he no longer knows whether he wants to be Peter Parker or Spider-Man, and he believes the two identities cannot coexist. Every time one succeeds, the other suffers.
Took a while, but we made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and MJ.
Spider-Man 2 shows this emotional struggle through Peter's powers. His body reflects his emotional state. His webs fail. His wall crawling stops working. His superhuman reflexes disappear. He literally falls from rooftops because he has lost confidence in himself. The powers are disappearing because Peter has lost his sense of identity. The symbolism is straightforward but incredibly effective. Spider-Man's powers have always represented Peter's confidence and sense of purpose. Once that purpose becomes uncertain, the powers fade with it. For much of the movie, Peter convinces himself that abandoning Spider-Man is the answer. Without the mask, he excels in college, reconnects with Mary Jane, and finally begins living the life he always wanted. But that happiness is incomplete. He watches innocent people suffer without Spider-Man. He witnesses a man die in a burning building. He realizes that walking away from his responsibility does not make him happier. It simply creates guilt.
Nuts, kid.
Some poor soul got trapped on the fourth floor. Never made it out.
All right, Billy, let's knock it down and roll him up.
She told me that with great power
Comes great responsibility.
The lesson that Tobey's Peter learns is that Peter Parker and Spider-Man are not opposing identities. They are parts of the same person. Being Spider-Man does not prevent him from being Peter Parker. Only after Peter accepts both sides of himself do his powers fully return. His physical recovery mirrors his emotional one. Brand New Day begins where Spider-Man 2 ends. At the end of No Way Home, Strange's spell erases Peter Parker from everyone's memory. His friends no longer know him. His family is gone. His connections to the world have disappeared. Peter still exists. Spider-Man still exists. but Peter Parker barely does. This is the crucial difference between the two movies. In Spider-Man 2, Peter is overwhelmed because both identities are competing for control of his life. In Brand New Day, there is no competition. Spider-Man has already won. Peter wakes up every day with no family waiting for him, no friends checking on him, and no one who remembers the person beneath the mask.
And sometimes Spider-Man has to do the hard thing, even if it breaks Peter Parker's heart.
Spider-Man's life has become an endless cycle of protecting New York while returning home to complete isolation. Peter has achieved what he once thought he wanted. His personal life can no longer interfere with Spider-Man, but instead of making him happier, it leaves him emotionally hollow. This loneliness becomes the foundation for the movie's exploration of identity, because in this movie, Peter's internal struggle produces the exact opposite physical effect from Spider-Man 2. Instead of weakening, his powers evolve. He develops organic webbing. His senses become stronger. His abilities begin mutating beyond anything he has experienced before. This represents the exact same imbalance that caused the powers of Tobey's Spider-Man to disappear. In Spider-Man 2, Peter tries to suppress Spider-Man. In Brand New Day, Peter has almost completely suppressed Peter Parker. The consequences are simply reversed. His body is evolving because his identity is evolving in an unhealthy direction.
What's that for?
It's my web fluid. It's for my web shooters. Why?
You can't do that, huh?
No?
He is becoming more spider than man. The mutations therefore symbolize something much deeper than a simple power-up. They represent Peter losing touch with his humanity. The organic webs reinforce this symbolism. Unlike mechanical web shooters, which Peter designed and built himself, organic webs emerge naturally from his body. Mechanical web shooters represent Peter Parker. Organic webs represent Spider-Man. As the movie progresses, Peter literally relies less on something he created as Peter Parker and more on something his Spider-Man side naturally produces. It is another visual reminder that one identity is beginning to overpower the other. Jean Grey, therefore, is the perfect foil for Peter because her story resonates more deeply with the themes of Brand New Day, because she is also struggling with identity. She is torn between her own humanity and her powers. Just as Peter fears becoming nothing but Spider-Man, Jean fears being judged for her powers instead of herself.
You're the only one who can defeat it.
Jean and Peter are two people struggling to retain their humanity despite extraordinary powers. Peter reaches Jean not by fighting against her, but by sharing his memories of Aunt May. That moment emphasizes one of the oldest Spider-Man truths. Peter Parker's greatest strength has never been his powers. It has always been his compassion. And it is after this that he begins rebuilding his relationship with Ned, because unlike Spider-Man 2, where Peter chooses to distance himself from Mary Jane in order to protect her, in Brand New Day, Peter does not have the luxury of choosing. MJ and Ned simply do not remember him. Every interaction reminds Peter that Peter Parker has effectively disappeared from the world. When MJ invites him over and Peter introduces himself to Ned again, these are small moments, yet emotionally they are among the most important scenes in the movie. Because for the first time since No Way Home, Peter remembers what having friends is like.
You're the Spider-Man.
Can't tell anybody about this. You gotta keep it a secret.
Okay.
Thank you. Maybe that's my responsibility, to live alone with the truth.
Another difference between the two movies is what Peter must accomplish. In Spider-Man 2, Peter's goal is simple: recover what he lost. His powers have already existed. He simply needs to regain confidence in himself. In Brand New Day, Peter has an entirely different challenge. He already possesses incredible new abilities. The problem is that he cannot fully control them. His enhanced senses overwhelm him. His mutations threaten to consume him. His growing powers reflects an emotional imbalance. The climax is therefore about mastery rather than recovery. Removing the inhibitor is symbolic. Instead of rejecting his evolving Spider-Man side, Peter accepts it. However, he does so while simultaneously reclaiming Peter Parker through his compassion, his friendships, and his willingness to sacrifice himself for Jean. Only after embracing both identities can he truly master his new abilities. His organic webs stop representing mutation. They become another part of who he is. He is both. Despite traveling in opposite directions, both movies end with the exact same conclusion. Spider-Man 2 asks, can Peter Parker accept being Spider-Man? Brand New Day asks, can Spider-Man remember how to be Peter Parker? The first movie begins with Peter desperately wanting a normal life. The second begins with Peter having almost no normal life left. One movie strips away Spider-Man, the other slowly strips away Peter Parker. One ends by restoring lost powers. The other ends by bringing dangerous new powers under control. Yet neither movie states that Peter should choose one identity over the other. Both reject that idea entirely. Spider-Man without Peter Parker becomes isolated, emotionally empty, and consumed by responsibility. Peter Parker without Spider-Man becomes guilty, incomplete, and unable to ignore the suffering around him. The answer is never choosing one identity. The answer has always been about embracing both.
Because I'm not just Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 2 succeeded because it explored what happens when Peter tries to abandon Spider-Man. Brand New Day succeeds because it explores what happens when Peter almost loses Peter Parker altogether. Where one movie uses the loss of powers as a metaphor for an identity crisis, the other uses overwhelming new powers to symbolize the same conflict from the opposite direction. Both movies reach the same timeless conclusion. Peter Parker and Spider-Man are not two separate identities competing for control. They are inseparable parts of the same person. Peter is at his weakest when he tries to live as only one of them, whether that means rejecting Spider-Man or allowing Spider-Man to consume Peter Parker entirely. Only by accepting both halves of himself can he become the hero and the person he is meant to be.